This is Eclipse, an alternate game mode with harder enemies and tougher gameplay in Risk of Rain 2. This is also Eclipse, a modded version of Payday 2 with harder enemies and tougher gameplay. I played this over a year ago and it has went through many changes. Decided to spend more time on it as the author, Mr. Creepy, has been working very hard on keeping this going. The current state of Payday 2's base game has a lot of absurdly overpowered DLC and updates. While it is fun to be OP all the time, but there are those that may prefer the Payday the Heist playstyle. You know, the game before Payday 2 where it was much more slower and relied on teammates and better cover and tactics kind of thing. Anyways, this is where you need to bunker down in a spot or use a lot of kiting to get through the map, or perhaps see what a less arcade shooter style of Payday where it first started. So anyways, what this mod does is tone down a lot of the power creep. It's not DSOD difficult, but I will say it is much harder than DSOD due to the complete skill tree revamp and how enemies, tactics, and everything else are in play. There are a reduced number of specials. Those specials are much harder to kill, faster moving enemies to hit, aggressive spawns throughout the heist, specials and squads using different tactics, and the list goes on. You can basically say it's Payday the Heist in Payday 2. You really need to work together as a team or be on your game. So anyways, where to start? Just drag the mod from the GitHub site, whichever the most updated one it is, into the mods folder. No other changes are needed. It's that simple. When you load in, you get that familiar new character setup when you started heisting or whatever for the first time. Honestly, just hit the options, go into advanced, and hit the max progression button, and you're done. No need to grind shit out. It's amazing. So now you can have fun picking things to try out. A quick glance over the skill trees, your known stuff you love in Payday 2 is mostly changed. There's still Inspire, Body Expertise, Jokers, Crits, and all that stuff you basically known for how many hours you played. But there are vastly changed things, whether it's their position, or the cost to obtain, or a nerf to its skill overall. The skill points are also reduced, since the base game with 120 skill points is quite a bit. And having 100 here encourages more build variety within a team. So you're not just gonna carry everything by yourself, which we've seen quite a bit around here. The weapons did get some changes. The biggest one is the removal of the Akimbo SMGs. Since ammo and body expertise can delete entire waves with little effort, it kinda kills the pacing of what this mod is basically doing. Some weapons got a different spot. Not all weapons are rebalanced and ported over from the base game, so there are some DLC weapons that did manage to get into the mod past the Legacy Collection, and this video will showcase some of those. So there is still a lot of customization within Eclipse mod to figure out what is fun and best for you. For myself, I did the Eclipse difficulty without the Projob modifier enabled that basically reduces the grace period slightly, which is another thing that this mod does significantly. You'll see why in just a moment. Making the revives a lot shorter and tougher because the health gets depleted every time upon a revive, again similar to Payday the Heist, and introducing point of no return timers for various heists. So anyways, what I wanted to do was tackle all the classics with just myself and a bot to pick me up, because obviously I'm not the best at this mod or Payday 2 in general. So there was lots of success, learning, and a lot of pain. So anyways, first up we got Counterfeit. My build wasn't definitely the best for this, but it was more of a learning opportunity. With a couple of retries and figuring out what's needed to get done, and learning how all the tactics of rushing enemies come into play, and realizing how strong and crazy dozers are, yeah, it's not something you want to be messing around. But with a couple of resets, like I said, we managed to get through it, and it was definitely doable and very fun. Counterfeit was a good balanced map for this mod. So the weapons I wanted to use were the KS-12 and the range hitter being the secondary, which, like I said, the weapons are slightly changed around, so you can have a sniper setup with that used to be a primary. Well, don't get too confused. Now my build definitely wasn't up to snuff because one of the points that I used was kind of a waste, where I could have easily spent that elsewhere for, say, more ammo or better utility. As I said, this was more of a learning opportunity, and yep, I definitely got frustrated with a couple of moments. And when it came to the escape, the scripted dozer, my bot way behind me, yeah, thankfully I had him to pick me up, otherwise I definitely would have been pissed. Well, I still rage quitted on the escape. Now comes Diamond Heist. Wanted to try a different build now, with pistols. And since it had that nice range throughout the map for pistols to be very utilized, managed to get some really easy kills going through and throughout. Managing all the objectives, getting the panels, and trying rogue with first aid kits definitely got me through the heist very easily. There were some bullshit moments because Diamond Heist is still a terribly ported map on Payday 2. You can see I got through the wall here pretty fair. However, the rogue and pistol idea and having the whole fugitive with running and gunning with pistols and getting all the objectives, this one was very fun and it was a treat. Definitely enjoyed this one, and it was relatively balanced for the mod that it has to offer. On to First World Bank, this is where things really got hard. Tried doing a different build again, as I wanted to keep things, lots of varieties to showcase there's still a lot of customization, and, well, it's not just, is something viable, and we all heard those arguments before. But First World Bank, the drill and the hack on the PC was definitely a challenge at first, but after getting through that, where it was really tough was getting down to the vault with 4 dozers. And since it was myself and the bot, yeah, I had to burn a lot of resources just to get those dozers down, and then to bring those 8 bags of money back up to the vent. A couple assaults later, and maybe perhaps a couple of resets too, we managed to get through. And remember that point of no return I mentioned for some of the Projob stuff? Well, this one was set without the Projob, and I had to book it. My first attempt managed to not get very far, and I got cluttered by shields, and I did not have enough time to get through. So with another day on the mind, I went through, did the same thing again, suffered lots of pain. I had barely enough time to zip past the shields and zip past the scripted dozers, managing to kill the one dozer at the bottom and moving 8 bags of money by myself with the bot to, well, stand there looking pretty. Came very close to getting this one failed, but we managed at the end of the day. Really fun and really stressful map. Onto Heat Street, it was definitely a lot better. Using ranged weapons that I wanted to set up a crew chief setup with the Grom Sniper and a Jackal SMG, we got through pretty easily. However, my first attempt got pretty much screwed over when the scripted dozers that some of you Payday the Heist fans may remember came down on the last push of Heat Street. Yep, didn't go so well that time. On the next attempt, I definitely knew a little bit better. Decided to say, hey, I need more bullets, and we ran back and took care of them much easier. I have to say Heat Street was very fun and much more enjoyable than the First World Bank that I had to play. On to Green Bridge, I wanted to use my first build that I used for counterfeit, the weapons that I had, and make sure the build was a little bit up to snuff. The biggest mistake from counterfeit that I had was the graze, or they call it mind blown. It's basically like an adjacent kill next to another enemy, unlike graze where you shoot one bullet and the whole lane is dead. So moving the points from there to Jack of all trades, I had a lot more ammo to deal with. I had to do one reset because I screwed up one of the pushes, however, it was again much more enjoyable than Payday 2's version of Green Bridge. I have to say, the Heat Street and Green Bridge and Diamond Heist were so far probably my favorites throughout the entire mod. Getting through this easily, it was definitely enjoyable because there's no turrets to deal with, as there was no turrets in Heat Street as well, because turrets on this mod would definitely be, well, not fun. So I got through that one, not too bad, and a very clutch moment with the bot because I wanted to make sure he saved me quite a bit, so I gotta save him too. Next is Onto No Mercy, and this one I figured, hey, it could just be Diamond Heist because I had a lot of pistol DPS and it's close quarters as well. No, I was wrong. After several attempts of trying, I had to change something. So we did. We brought in DPS. Now Yakuza is the same perk deck icon that Berserker has, and that was the only way I could get through. So the change with Yakuza is it has the damage increase that Berserker has, and Berserker has the movement speed. So now the damage increase is exclusive to the perk deck, not necessarily every other perk deck. Again, the whole rebalance that I mentioned earlier, things are a little bit tougher now, where you gotta make dedicated decisions. So using a similar build that I had with First World Bank, we decided to get through with this one much easier as I was able to maintain DPS and keep going throughout the heist. A couple of close moments, but the bot and myself managed to carry through. Next was Panic Room, and I wanted to have a shotgun kind of a setup with the panic mechanic that it has, and it does create a lot of crowd control, making enemies cower in fear or, well, basically get stunned. And having a hacker setup, it was almost like a double stun setup for me just to do objectives in all these tight corners. However, it just wasn't enough, and maybe my shotgun setup wasn't the most optimized using the Ishma and a lot of crits. So anyways, I decided to say, maybe I can save the shotguns for later. Let's go back to pistols, something that I can work with. And we managed to get through, and a very close call with another point of no return. So again, this mod brings a lot of intense moments and things that is really, really tough. Next was Slaughterhouse. TLDR, this one took me 4 hours to complete, much more than any of the other heists. So be prepared for this one to be, well, a slaughter? Bad pun. The biggest problem wasn't the drill that was in the front, it was simply moving 8 bags of gold by yourself. And since the enemies move very fast, I can't be putting the gold into the bags, otherwise they're going to move the stuff immediately. I had a very good attempt with a similar build that I was running earlier, and I decided to panic and it did not work out. The bot didn't save me in time, and I said, well, we got to change our build a little bit. So using muscle and a very familiar pistol, the Russian 12, which is one of my favorites that I've been playing with the base game, the Eclipse version is also just as strong. So packing ammo, muscle, and a lot of clicking, this thing got me through relatively easily. And with the added AP that it has, I barely had to use my primary. However, again, Slaughterhouse took me multiple attempts as how painful some of the scripted spots can be. With dozers coming out of the chopper, dozers from obviously the Gensec truck in the beginning, and any other dozers that came through. This one was very, very hard. Oh yeah, and there's snipers, don't forget about those, and I managed to get a lot of sexy clips and shooting them from very far away. This pistol saved my ass, so I'm kind of glad I was able to finish this one because I was getting very, very close to... oh boy. Anyways, time to relax. Last but not least was Undercover. With this weapon choice, I wanted to use the CR805, which swapped from secondary to primary, and since it was undercover, kind of like a DLC map for Payday the Heist, came with the BL40 grenade launcher. Well, we're using the Compact 40 grenade launcher, so kind of some similarities here. Using Gambler as the perk deck here definitely helped me out quite a bit. With its longer pickup range, it was basically, I can grab health a lot easier and a lot safer, and it was definitely very, very nice with all the close range quarters across the map. I was able to get through with just that grenade launcher and the CR805, making sure that I have all the angles covered. Came close to a near failed escape, but we managed to get through, thankfully, with the bot. So anyways, I managed to do these all in Eclipse difficulty again without the Projob and with the bot without any bot boosts. So if you guys are up for a challenge, I highly recommend you guys give it a try on the Eclipse difficulty with a bot, and I wouldn't say use the bot boost because those things would definitely trivialize the difficulty that it has. None of that quick or accelerator stuff because it can get, well, drills and objectives become kind of boring in that sense, but if you need it, well, I can't say no. So again, give this a try. Definitely a well-deserved mod. Definitely differently balanced than DSOD, and I do recommend it. It is a much better mod if you have other teammates, or if you got like a friend or two that wants to play with this, or see if you want to have a little change of pace within your Payday 2 game, because again, like I said, there's a lot of overpowered DLC creep and updates that's been going on for several years. So anyways, just wanted to give a shout out to the mod author again, Mr. Creepy, who made this Eclipse mod. Very fun, definitely painful at times, definitely a challenge, but don't stress yourself making it, you know, possible with the impossible if you can't do it by yourself. Again, Payday 2 is better with, obviously, other players in your group. Anyways, enough rambling. Give this a shout, and yeah, fun mod. I'll see you next time.